podré mirarte sino en tu risa de jardín y primavera. No me podré mirarte sino en tu risa de jardín y primavera. Auténtica locura que acaricia mi voluntad dejada por tenerla. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. 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 ¿Dónde podré mirarte sino en tus ojos de puñal y cementera? ¿Dónde podré mirarte sino en tus ojos de puñal y cementera? Estrellas que se escapan de tu rostro, con la mirada tierna y placentera. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. 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 ¿Dónde podré beberte sino en tu boca gota de sangre en un lirio? ¿Dónde podré beberte sino en tu boca gota de sangre en un lirio? Si estás lejos de mí es un martirio, junto a algún beso tímido siento qué manera de quererte, qué manera. 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 ¿Dónde podré mirarte sino en tu sexo febril delirio? ¿Dónde podré mirarte sino en tu sexo febril delirio? Oleaje incontenible del deseo que libere mi cuerpo del hechizo. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. Qué manera de quererte aunque me muera. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. Que me dejen un rincón para bailar. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. Que esta fiesta no se vaya a terminar. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. El que escuche esta canción saldrá a bailar. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. Que la música no pare de sonar. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. El que siembra su maíz que se coma su pino. Qué manera de quererte, qué manera. Muchacho, 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 qué manera.
Hello everyone. I was just adjusting the music. How is the sound? I feel like I'm too loud, but do let me know. It looks loud on my mixer. gonna put it a little lower. Hello! We haven't done one of these in ages. I don't really remember how I used to do these, so you're gonna have to give me some time. Because I haven't done these in a hot minute since last year. I think, was the last Minder live stream we did like this in, was it August? Or, oh no, it was November, wasn't it? Because we did one last top stream. So yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome to the stream. Today we are discussing Of Women in Salt. Oh, I just realized I don't have my book with me. Oh, I should probably grab that. Give me a second. Let me grab it. I was kind of in a rush for this stream because I didn't realize I was late. I went and had a shower like an hour before the stream. Well, to be fair, it was like an hour and a half, and I thought, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. I'll have enough time to take a shower and then eat a little snack afterwards. Well, I was wrong. So yes, but I'm here. I made it in time, and we'll be discussing Of Women in Salt by Gabriela Garcia. Here's how the stream is gonna go for those who are new here or the VOD watchers. The way this works is we do a little book discussion. So I give you my thoughts of what I thought about the book, and I go really in depth. So there's gonna be spoilers. So if you haven't read this book and you just stumbled up in this live stream and you don't want to get spoiled, then maybe this is not the stream for you. So just keep that in mind. You, throughout the discussion, you also like can give me your opinion on the book, like what you thought about it. I love to cannot speak, sorry, I am out of breath. I was running before the stream, not like literally, but just running around trying to get everything done on time. Yeah, just let me know your opinions along the stream as well. I would love to read them and see how you felt about this book if you read it. And after we do the book discussion, we usually have a few little segments. Also, hi Claudia, and hi Nina. I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, hello. Usually after the book discussion, we do a few segments. Usually there's like a meme segment and all of those things, but for this book I didn't think it was super appropriate. I'll talk more about why when we get there. So we're only gonna have one segment after the book discussion, and it won't be like memes or anything, but I'm not gonna say yet what it is. I'll leave it until we get there. It's not like super it's not like something funny like we did for One Last Stop or anything like that. It's more down to earth, more chill. So yeah, that is the plan for the stream. That's how it's gonna go down. Also, I have my little notes on here, so if you're gonna see me like look down a lot to read my notes, because you know we're not in school anymore. I don't need to memorize my notes, you know, I can just read them. I thought maybe to start off, it didn't turn out exactly as I wanted it to turn out. I'm not gonna lie, when I started drawing the starting soon scene, I really thought I was a better artist than I actually am. But I thought we should talk a little about what this scene is, this starting soon scene. If you read the book, you will know what that scene is. Personally, I really liked Dolores. We're gonna talk more in depth about it. And when I was thinking what to do for the starting soon scene, I just randomly opened my book, and the first page that I opened in was this quote right here that says, "She lit that whole couch and her unmoving husband on fire and watched them blaze into the sky, into the night. She watched the flames pop and crackle like a million gathered fireflies." And I thought, that's it. That's it. That's gonna be the starting soon scene. So that's what that is. Does not exactly look how I wanted it to, but you know, I'll get there in 10 years when I finally start putting in 10,000 hours of work. Then I'll remake it and it'll be better. I loved it. Thank you. I think it's just This is gonna sound, dress was amazing. Thank you. See, I feel like Dolores turned out okay because I had a reference for her, but the couch, I searched so much for like a photo of a person sitting on a couch, but from behind, could not find it. All the pictures that appear are just a person sitting, but like from the front, that doesn't help me. That's not what I'm looking for, you know? So yeah, I also wanted to like include their house in the distance and maybe put like Carmen at the door. But yeah, once I started drawing the couch, I was like, that's not gonna happen. I am not good with perspective. I'm not gonna try and put the house on here. Hell no. So yes, that's like the part I'm like, kind of harsh. But thank you. Alright, I think with that, it is time for us to start the book discussion. Again, I'm gonna be looking down and reading my notes, okay? So if you find that weird, I'm sorry. I cannot be bothered to memorize all my notes. And that's why I make them beforehand, so I don't forget anything. Okay? Alright, oh, and remember to let me know your thoughts as well throughout this. So, first things first, for the people who are here, who haven't read the book, first of all, why? Why are you here if you haven't read this book? I don't know. But if you are, and you are gonna stay, even though we're gonna talk spoilers, I mean, I literally just did, then I'm gonna give you a little blurb. I want to start off by reading the first sentence on the back of this book, which I thought was really nice. It says, "We are force, we are more than we think we are." So basically, this book follows the life of several women in the same family, and it spans across multiple centuries. Well, 2 centuries, I think, if I'm doing the maths right. 2 centuries. And the first story, the first story starts in 1866 in Cuba, and the last story ends, I guess. The last story takes place in 2019 in America, more specifically in Miami. And at its core, this is a story about family and how our family dictates the way that we choose to act and the way that we are, basically. I think usually I'm not good at giving blurbs, at giving synopsis for books, but I think that's pretty darn close to what the story is about. Alright, let me put my iPad somewhere else so I can read better without being like this. Like my posture bed. Hell no. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's start the book discussion. Starting with what I thought about this book before starting. So I didn't know much about this book, but taking into account how little I knew of the other Minder books that we talked about last year, I think I knew a little bit more. I knew that it was literary fiction. I knew that it took place in Cuba, and I thought, well, to be fair, it does. I thought that the plot had something to do with drugs, basically. I also read this after Claudia and Sandra read it, which was honestly amazing. Because from reading their comments on the Excel that we have, it made me realize, or it made me think that I was gonna enjoy it. And also, Claudia told me before I started that this is multiple POVs, which thank you for that. Because knowing me, I would have pulled a Will Grayson, and I would have only realized at the end of the book. So thank you for that. Although, to be fair, you're welcome. To be fair, it is very noticeable though that it's different POVs, because it does say here, I don't know how my camera's gonna pick it up, but you see the first 2 lines, it says the name of a person and then the place and the date. I don't know if it's on focus, but I tried. Okay, I tried. So to be fair, it's okay to I could, like, I spotted it right away. But I can see how it would go unnoticed, because the title is huge and then the little name is like just a little small name on there. So I can see how that could be confusing. Does your book also have oh my gosh, I hate that this does it. It has like a little heart on top of the word. Why does YouTube do this? What does that say? Does your book also have a family tree in the first page? Yes, it does. I love the family tree. I kept going back to the family tree every single time, and putting the dates of like when the stories took place. So yeah, here's my family tree. As you can see, there's like in pencil the dates of the stories. So whenever we had a story, for example, this first one, Carmen, 2018, I would just go to the family tree and put behind, like under her name, 2018, just so it was easier for me to like guide myself. And yeah. Oh, also look at the tabs. Everyone, look at the tabs. Lots of tabs, lots of them. And if anyone wants to know what the colors mean, well, I don't think you're gonna be able to read, but there's tabs. That's how many I used. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So, what I liked about this book. This is gonna be a long list. This is such a tiny book as well. Can I just say, this is so tiny and it took me way too long to read. To be fair, it's not that like it took me the whole month to read, but it took me longer than I thought it was going to. I think it took me like 6 or 7 days to read it, but it was just because I didn't want to miss anything. So that's the reason. Okay, so what I liked about this, as we've already mentioned, I love that this was multiple POVs. Oh, that is loud. Whoa. Spotify is out to get us. Let me put this lower. Jeez. Like, this distracted me for a second. Okay, it's good now. As you know, I am a big fan of multiple POVs. I think it makes books so much more interesting and so much more immersive, because you, especially if they all talk, like the POVs all talk about the same situation, then you get like, it doesn't, because I feel like, how do I explain this? You know how when there's only one narrator and they're talking about a situation that's happening, usually it's a very biased opinion, because you're only seeing it from that person's POV. But if you're looking at the same situation from multiple people's POVs, then it's very, like, it's not as unreliable. Does that make sense? I don't know, but that's why I like multiple POVs. And I love that this one, because we have the family tree, we get to see almost everyone in the family tree. Oh, also, I forgot to say, but this family tree isn't just one family, it has 2 families. I don't know how much you'll be able to tell, but this is one family. This is the main family that we follow. And then there's this small little family here that we also follow. That is just a mother and a daughter. Which, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I thought there was gonna be a connection between the 2 families. But apart from Jeanette taking care of Anna for a bit, there wasn't really much of a connection. Oh, and I guess Carmen at the end also took care of Anna. But yeah, I thought there was gonna be a bigger connection, but I guess it's just because their lives are intertwined. I don't know, not sure. Yes. Sorry, I am not used to doing these streams anymore, so you're gonna have to like give me a little bit of a break, okay? Okay. So, next reason why I loved this book, or I guess I already said I loved it. I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say the next thing that I liked about this book was seeing how it all started, like back in 1866, and how even then there was already a semblance of feminism. Like, even though it was so difficult to be a feminist, I still felt like there was a little bit of feminism from Maria Isabel's part, like from her POV. Like, I feel like she was a feminist through and through, but she was like obviously living in very different times. But with her not wanting to get married and, like, you know, all of those things, and her even deciding to ask for help to learn how to read and stuff like that. I don't know. She struck me. How do you say that? She came across to me as a very powerful and very strong woman who 100% gave me feminist vibes. Like, I feel like in another world she would be fighting for women's rights, you know. I don't know if you see it, but I saw it. Also, seeing the determination, as I said, of a few of these women in getting a better life for themselves as well, or if not having a better life for themselves, then trying to make it a better life for somebody else, kind of like what we saw with Gloria and Anna, because Gloria did not want her daughter to be on the, like, well, what's that even called? Like a prison? Like the place that they held them before they sent them back. Well, they didn't send them back to their own country, but, you know, when they sent them to Mexico. Yeah, you just could see they were so determined. Even Carmen, you could see a lot that she tried so hard to make sure that Jeanette had got out from that life that she was leading, because it was not a good life. Especially like the first letter that we see, which the book starts with Carmen. It's like a letter to Jeanette, basically, and that letter was so heartbreaking. You could just see how much she loves her daughter and how much she just wishes she could do something to help her. Sorry, I have a cough because allergies. It's summer and there's pollens in the air. So I'm gonna have to cough sometimes, and my mic peaks when I do that, so that's great. I'm sorry for your ears. I will give you a warning every time I need to cough. Where was I on this list? Yes, okay. Right, the other thing I really liked was the way that they weren't only connected by blood, but also by memories, and also tobacco. And, most importantly, the book that Antonio gave to Maria Isabel. Because, like, you know how in the beginning, first story, he's like this person who, I don't even know what that profession is, but honestly, pretty good profession. He would read books in a factory to entertain the factory workers. And we can see, because the first book he read to her, well, not to her, to the factory, was, how do you say that actually? Les Miserables? I don't know. How do you say that in English? You know the book. Everyone knows the book. The Miserables, I guess. I don't know. He read that book, and you can see along the story, especially when Jeanette goes back to Cuba, you can see her find the book again. Like the book that Antonio read to the factory and to his future wife as well. So it's very interesting how the whole family is connected through this book as well. And about the memories is like how they're connected about memories. I want to expand a little on that. I mean, for example, with Dolores chapter, we always saw that Carmen didn't like her mother, but we didn't know why. And you saw that on Dolores chapter, she also doesn't know why they don't get along anymore. She thinks it's something to do with politics or something. She doesn't know that the reason why Carmen doesn't like her mother is because she saw her kill her father, which obviously, like, Carmen was super little to understand why Dolores did that, and why, honestly, it was a big slay. It was a big slay from Dolores' part, not gonna lie. And I feel like it was justified. I mean, not that murder should be justified ever, but to be honest, the guy sucked. But I'm not here to be controversial, so I'm gonna move along from that and go to what I was actually trying to say. I was trying to say that, like, both of these characters see this situation so differently, and they are connected by the same memory that shaped both of their lives in a very, very different way. For the mother, for Dolores, it was her freedom. She was finally free from this man who would beat her up, almost kill her every time, and she was free to not be on suffering abuse from a man, and to just give the best life that she could give to her daughters. While to Carmen, because she didn't understand why her mom killed her dad, because the dad was okay with the children. There's a balloon walking on the street. What the hell? That was so random. It just appeared. I just appeared. Because Carmen didn't understand. To her, that's like a core memory for her as well. But it was of suffering and pain and just being miserable because she lost her father. Do you know what I mean? So the way they are all connected through memories and how those memories shape them all very differently is so interesting to me. I'm gonna cough. Little warning. Wait, I'm gonna mute myself when I cough so I don't burst your ears. Okay. You're welcome. Oh my goodness. Right. Next point of what I liked seeing. This is a lot of stuff like to do with the characters, because truly this book is not like a lot of stuff happens. I mean, stuff happens of course, but you're mostly following a family and you're seeing like their characters and their judgments and all of those, like their morals, all of these things. So all of the things that I really like have to do with their personalities mostly. So another thing that I thought was interesting was seeing how this family started so religious, and throughout the years you can kind of see them lose their faith in religion. Because if you think back to like the first women in this family, Maria Isabel, there were a lot of indications of religion throughout her story. But then, if you think of the last person in the story, well, the last two people in the story, I guess you could say, which is Jeanette and Anna. They're the youngest in this family line. Doing like that because Anna is not actually part of the family, but you know what I mean. You don't really ever see them thinking about religion. At least I don't recall them thinking about religion. So it's interesting to see how throughout generations that was kind of lost. And I feel like there was probably a big shift when Carmen when Carmen immigrated to the US. I feel like that's when their like faith in religion started to really shift and transform into something a little different. Not saying that they were completely they completely didn't have a religion, but they just weren't as religious as Maria Isabel in the beginning. And even like I feel like even Dolores was a bit religious, in a sense of like believing in a bigger being, you know, that type of thing. So yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. Also, something that was very, very difficult to read about was the struggle of the immigrants with like deportation and getting stuck in a country that isn't yours. All of those difficulties, which we saw with Gloria and Anna's story, which honestly is so crazy to think that this still happens nowadays. It feels like this type of thing shouldn't happen anymore, but it still does, and it's devastating to think about. And I feel like Anna's and Gloria's stories were one of the most heartbreaking and saddest stories in this whole book. Just following them like through all of that, and then them being sent to Mexico instead of their home country, which I cannot tell you the name of because I can't remember what the name of the country is, but it was not Mexico, that I know for sure. And them just being stuck in Mexico, and like it was so devastating. And then even seeing Anna at the end like illegally immigrating back to the US when she was 13 or something. The whole thing was so devastating, but also so, I feel like it's very important for us to read about these things as well, for us to like remember that this is still happening and this is still very much a reality for a lot of people. And to go with that, the strength of all of these women, like from Dolores killing her husband, to Maria Isabel giving birth while her husband is getting killed, to Gloria, to Anna, to like even Carmen's strength in trying to help her daughter. You could even see a little bit of strength in Jeanette's, even though she always kept going back to drugs. There was that moment when she came back from rehab where she was being so strong to not fall back on it. So I feel like all of the women in this family are so strong, and that is amazing to see. Quite incredible. It also, besides like the immigration topic, it also spoke about a lot of other difficult subjects like the drugs and all of those things, and domestic violence. And he did it in a very beautiful way. Like, I feel like it was never written as like, it was never written in a shocking way just for the shock factor. Like, all the shock and horrible things happening that we saw happening were always written in a very meaningful way, and it was always very necessary for us to actually understand these characters and understand their struggles and where they came from and how they got to where they are now. Yes. Period. Next. I'm just moving my little notes. Give me a second. I need to like keep moving it so I don't have the point I just said in front of me, because otherwise I will read it again. Because I get lost. Oh, then that is the point I literally just read. Okay. Cool. Okay, the other thing, to go a bit with like how their faith and religion shifted, I also thought it was interesting to see the difference, not only in culture between a few of these characters, but also the way of thinking between the members of the same family, especially between Jeanette and Maid Elish. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but I think it is. I don't know. I never seen. Oh, it's not Maid Elish. It's Maid Elish. Actually, I wrote it wrong on my notes, so that's cool. Thank God I checked. Maid Elish. Although I don't know if that's how you pronounce that again. But yes, like, especially between them. Because if you remember that scene, it was in Maid Elish. Was it Maid Elish chapter? Yes, I feel like it was Maid Elish chapter. It was the scene with the German guy that they found in Havana, and they were like in the same car with him, and the car broke down in like a little small town, and you could just see like that scene was just so grotesque, because it really showed the blatant racism displayed by him especially, and a little bit by Jeanette as well, although she kind of like shakes her thought. She kind of like sees that she's in the wrong pretty soon, but she also started thinking the same way that the German was thinking, and it was I think it was one of the scariest ways that they portrayed racism in this book, because a lot of people would read that scene and think that the German guy was in the right. Like, I feel like if I was in Cuba, and no shade to my parents, I'm just speaking the truth. I feel like if I was in Cuba with my parents and our car broke down in the middle of that little small town, I feel like my mom would think that way, the way that the German thought, which is horrible. I know. So that was one of the like most scary racism scenes displayed in this book, because it's so real, and a lot of people would look at that and think, oh yeah, no, the German was totally in the right. Like, the girls were so stupid in this scene, you know? And it was so interesting to see the difference, like, in thought between Jeanette and Maid. How do you say her name again? Maid Elish? you know the one. Like, seeing their difference in thought, because even before they were in that small town, just the way that Jeanette acted in Cuba and the way she talked about the country and everything, and then because you were seeing it from Maid Elish POV, you would kind of get this feeling from her that Jeanette was just a stupid little like how do I say this? She was she just didn't know anything, you know? She didn't know anything about the reality of the country. So I thought that was especially prudent to read. Also, still on the topic of immigration in the US, seeing the way that the US government deals with immigrants, especially back then, because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't an Inglorious story. Like, it took place during the Trump presidency, right? When he wanted to build that wall between Mexico and the US. So I feel like that's why it was so brutal. I mean, it definitely still happens today. I don't know how bad it is in 2024, but it makes me believe, at least I want to believe, that it was worse then because of who was the president. I could be totally wrong in saying that and be ignorant about that. Moving on, seeing, what is this that I have written here? This is all just like a few of the difficult topics that they talked about. Oh, right, seeing the way, like the blind way that Dolores' husband followed and did what he was told to do when he was following like these men who wanted to dethrone Batista, the president of Cuba in 1950 something. Like he legitimately committed murder without even blinking an eye. It was just out of blind obedience to these men, and like seeing that betrayed here was so, like, I feel like it was very, it really marked me, and also, it was intriguing to read that, especially from someone who watches a lot of like crime shows, not like the super dark based on real life ones. I mean like CSI and Castle in those shows. It's where you have like a lot of people killing for a bunch of different motives. Here it was just like blind on obedience and ignorance as well. Not saying that Batista didn't deserve to be dethroned because he was a dictator, but the person that came into leadership after him was not much better. To be honest, I mean, I'm not completely sure of like how bad they are on a scale, like comparing Batista to Castro, but they were both trash men. So really, what did they win? I don't know. And lastly, the last thing that I really liked about this book was the writing. The writing was just so poetical in a way. It's truly stunning, and Gabriella really knows when to make it hurt and how to make it hurt. And I honestly was very, very pleasantly surprised with the writing in this book. So yeah, those were my points for what I liked in this book. Let me know if you want to add something else. And then what I didn't like as much. I don't have many points on here, I'm gonna be honest, I only have two. So the first one was, we never learned who Dolores' mother was and why she was crossed out of the family map. Because if you remember from this map, you have Dolores here and then her mother, and it's just an X. I wish we had learned more about that, because what does it mean? Was she killed, or like what happened there? I wish we had learned more about whoever this person is. For a second when I was reading it, after I finished it, I thought maybe it's because she didn't have a mother. Maybe it was her dad. Maybe the person that what's her name? Who had this person? Cecilia. Maybe the person that Cecilia had, like the children that Cecilia had, were all men, and she didn't have a daughter to continue like this lineage. But then that wouldn't make any sense, would it? So I don't know. I wish we had seen more about it. Also, the other complaint I have, there were so many Jeanette POVs. Oh my god. To me, she was not even the most interesting character of them all. And there were so many of her, which was a little unnecessary from my POV. Like, I wish we had gotten one less, even if it had been just one less, or maybe two less of Jeanette, so we could have had one from Cecilia's POV and one from Elena's POV. I think that would have made this much better. But other than that, those are all the complaints that I have for this book. Then, favorite POVs. Keeping that in mind, what are my favorite POVs? I feel like by now you probably know. My favorite POVs were, of course, Dolores, Gloria, and Ana. Those are my favorite POVs. And on that same train of thought, my favorite characters were Maria Isabel, Antonio, Dolores, and Anna. Those are my favorite characters. I'm not gonna say my least favorite because I didn't really think about that. I feel like they were all very necessary in their own way, so I don't really have someone that I didn't like. Well, I guess you could count my least favorite character as Dolores' husband. I don't remember his name. What's his name? Is it Daniel? I don't remember. He was that unnecessary. Okay, and now that we've done a little book discussion, it's time to give you my rating. Claudia already knows. I loved Anna. Yes, she was incredible. And seeing her lose, because that was another one of the difficult topics that they touched on. I forgot about it. But it was, she saw her mom die of cancer as well, which was really, like, impactful as well. Because she was just, like, with no one, truly. And she was 12 years old. And she just lost everything that she had. Because even the person she worked for that took care of her and Gloria, like, she moved back to the US, didn't she? Because her husband was cheating or something. So she was really just all by herself at 12 years old. Man, this book is so good. The more I think about it, this book is so good. So as you can probably guess, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, of course. I loved it. I'm gonna read everything that Gabriela Garcia writes. Yes, absolutely. Incredible. Alright, and that was the book discussion segment. Feel free, I don't know how much delay there is on stream, but feel free to leave your opinions still, even if I'm already talking about something else. Feel free to still leave your opinions in chat, because I would love to read them. I'm gonna start opening the thing. I have a PowerPoint for the next final segment of this stream. So I'm gonna open it. So give me just a second. Slideshow. There we go. Okay, I need to see if I'm sharing the right thing. Oh, I forgot that I need to position myself somewhere else probably. Let's see if this works. Alright, so the next segment of this stream, which will be the last segment, because I only have one segment for the stream besides the book discussion, as I've said, is I didn't think it would be right on my part to do a meme segment for this stream, simply because, like, we've read some tough books before. However, I feel like all of the tough books we read still had like a comedy element to them, so it was still, like, I feel like okay to do memes. This one, I just didn't think it would be respectful to do memes for this book. So I thought, instead of doing memes and doing all of the funny segments for this, I thought it would be much better to do a little PowerPoint of a bit about Cuba's history. Now, you're gonna have to remember and keep in mind, I am not Cuban. I definitely do not know enough to say everything right. So if I say something wrong, and you know that I'm saying something wrong, please correct me. This is a compilation of a bit of research that I did, trying to research the history of Cuba, mostly because I wanted to situate the character stories inside of Cuba's history. Because as you remember, for example, on Maria Isabel's story, there was a lot of things happening, like a lot of the Cubans were getting killed very violently. So I thought it would be way more useful for us to see why that was happening, and by doing that is by seeing a little bit of Cuba's history. So that is what this segment is. Not as cheery as the other ones, but I still think it's very necessary, and I hope you enjoy it. I am gonna be, like, fully reading my notes on this because I don't want to say anything wrong, okay? So let's start. Also, just know, I do not know, there's gonna be some, like, stuff that I probably skipped over. This is not all of it, you know? It's just a bit of the history. And yeah, if I say something wrong, I apologize in advance. Alright. Oh, do I need to click on the screen? There we go. All right, timeline of events. We're starting in 1940, not 19, I said that wrong, 1492, which was when Christopher Columbus arrived in Cuba. And there was a subsequent invasion of the island with Spaniards, so people from Spain. No, I said that wrong. I said that wrong. Not people from Spain. Spaniards from other places. Excuse me, that was confusing. The next time on the timeline. These included many Aboriginal groups, and one of the groups that took over were the, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, Taino people, which originally came from Venezuela. Okay, moving on. Next one. In 1511, this is when the Spanish forces colonized the island. So this is when the Spanish people actually came to the island, like I was saying, like Spanish from Spain. And they defeated the Taino people and colonized the island, forcing many of the Taino people into slavery. During this time, agriculture and pastoral pursuits, such as the plantation of sugarcane and tobacco, was the basis of the economy in Cuba. Also during this time, the Spanish stole a lot of Cuba's mineral wealth. Sorry, there's a car going by. I'm pretty sure my mic could pick that up. During this time, the Spanish stole a lot of Cuba's mineral wealth and took it back to their country. Then, between 1868 and 1878, was the 10 Years' War. So because of numerous factors, such as an increased despotism and taxation, Cuba went into war against Spain in what was called the 10 Years' War. But during this time, Cuba failed to win their independence. And this was around the time that Marie Isabel's story takes place. So that's why there was so much aggression happening during her story, so many people getting killed. It was around this period of history. And this was also around the same period that Cecilia was born. So, yes. Do you see why I wanted to do this? Because now it really puts it into context, doesn't it? Then, I always start this with 19, I don't know why I always do that. In 1898, the US forces helped drive out the Spanish, so people from Spain, out of Cuba. Which then led to, in 1902, led to Cuba winning its independence. However, corruption, violence, and political irresponsibility grew more and more during this time as well. Then a little bit of an overlap here between 1901 to the 1930s. It was the rise of I never know how to say this word, authoritarianism. It's a very long word. Authoritarianism with the dictator Fulgencio Batista. It was when that started. Along with his followers, during this time, he rose to the power because, along with his followers, he managed to dethrone the person that was leading the country at the time, which was Geraldo Machado, who was forced to run away from the country along with a few other presidents that came along after him. Until eventually Batista made it to presidency in 1940, and later between 1952 to 1959 he became the dictator. His era ended during the Second World War, however. Then in 1959, as you remember, was when Batista it was kind of like when his era ended as well. It was when Fidel Castro took place over Cuba, so he dethroned Batista. Castro was an anti-US revolutionary, and he vowed to convert Cuba into a one-party communist system. This was also when the relations between Cuba and the US deteriorated rapidly, as you would imagine. ending with the US breaking the diplomatic relations in the beginning of 1961. And this was also around the time that Dolores' story takes place, and that her husband goes with the guys and he murders that person. So that was why he was doing all that. Then in 1962 is the Cold War period. So during this time, tensions between Cuba and the US peaked during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So after the US revealed the presence of Russian I don't know how to say this word, missile? I think so, of Russian missiles in Cuba. Luckily, the US was able to dismantle the missile bases and withdraw the weapons. So there was a crisis that was averted. And then between 1962 to the 1980s, there's a lot of things that happens, including Castro siding with the Russians, and which honestly, this period is so. It was so difficult for me to understand everything that went on during this period because it was a lot. But from my understanding, Cuba became a very strong military base, had a very strong military presence because they started with the Russians. And during this time, the Cubans also invaded Africa. But like, I'm not gonna go into too much detail about this because I'm honestly not entirely sure what happened. I don't think I understand fully what happened, so I don't want to say anything wrong. So just know a lot of shit went down during this time. Then in the early 1990s, there was the collapse of communism and the end of the Russian subsidies, which had a profound effect on Cuba, putting them in a major economic crisis. Still in the 1990s, there was a continued hostility between the US and Cuba, and this was also when the illegal Cuban immigration from Cuba to the US started, like as a business. So you would have to pay to immigrate to the US illegally. This, as you know, if you read the book, you'll know this was how Gloria and Anna got to the US the first time, and also how Anna, because like the last time we see of Anna, she's immigrating to the US, right? And she was doing it through this business, so like this illegal business of immigrating to the US, which is still crazy to think about. Then 2008 finally, it was the end of the Castro era. Well, kind of. Kind of. His brother ended up taking over from him. And also during this time, they reestablished ties with Russia. Now, you might be thinking, why did you end in 2008? From 2008 to 2024, there's still 12 years. Well, wait, not 12 years. That's more. You know, do the math yourself. I don't know how many years that is, but there's still a lot of years. So is it 16 years instead? Anyways, you get the gist. There's still a lot. So how is Cuba now? It's really hard to. I didn't really understand, because a lot of the history that I found ended here, which is really weird, right? So as far as I can tell, Cuba remains a one-party system in which the Communist Party is the only legal political party, and that's as much as I know about what Cuba looks like now. And if you find any of this interesting at all, here's a few books about Cuba's history that you might find interesting to read. I also found a list with lots of other books and movies as well that I will leave the link in chat in just a bit. I just need to get out of the screen so I can share that with you. And that was the end of this little PowerPoint. Sorry if that was a lot, and if it sounds very confusing, it's because it is. Honestly, it is a little confusing. I feel like when you're reading about a country's history, like a country that isn't yours and you never studied ever, and it's a country that has a lot of history, it's natural for you to be a little confused because it's something that you never heard of before. So yeah, if that was a little confusing, it's okay, but I still hope you enjoyed. Here is the links. Ooh, did that only put one link? Or did it put the two? Oh, I think it only put one. Okay. Let me try and put the other one as well. So that's the first link for more books on Cuban history. Page not found. What? Really? Because I opened it through chat and it worked. Check the second one, see if that one works. If it doesn't work, I'll leave the links on Discord as well so everyone can check them out. And read for yourselves if anyone is interested. And I'm also going to leave the links to the movie lists that I found. I hope they work. There's list 1 and list 2 for the movies. There we go. I hope that works. I hope the links open. If they don't, again, I'm gonna leave them anyways on Discord, so if you wanna have a look yourself, these ones work for me. Oh, okay, great. Amazing. I will leave them on Discord regardless, so everyone can have a look after stream as well if you want to. I truly think it is an very interesting topic to read into. It's a lot and it's overwhelming, but I feel like it is very necessary to read about it and be informed and not just live in like our own little bubble. So if this is at all interesting to you, have a look on the books. You might find one that seems interesting to you to read. I've personally, let me pull up the thing again, because there's oh, I cannot see anything. Where's Streamlabs? Okay, here. Oh, actually chat is right on top of it. But this one here, let me move chat. Oh, I moved the wrong thing. Where's chat? Chat box. Okay, move. Alright, I'm gonna put you there just for a bit. From all of the synopses that I read from the books, this one here, called Cuba Libre, seemed the most interesting to me because it talks about the era of Fidel Castro, I think, and a lot of the other like dictators. But from what I've read, it's written in a way where it really feels like it's the actual like dictators that are talking and not like the person who wrote it. So it feels very authentic and very real from what I've gathered. So yeah, I think I'm intrigued by one. I might read that one in the future, and I also might read the one that's called Havana Nocturne, this one here, because it is how the mob owned Cuba and then lost it in the revolution, and it's like a lot about the crimes that happened in, I think, in Miami at the time, to do with the Cubans living there, which sounds very interesting as well. So I feel like from these 6 at least, those are the ones that I'm probably most interested in reading. So yeah. Oh, how do I get out? Let me out! Okay, there we go. I have chat again. Alright, and that was the stream. That was the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I hope that wasn't too overwhelming or anything. And I hope you enjoyed it again. I don't know how to end the stream. You know how lately all of the streams I've just been going, yep, okay, that's the stream, bye, and just end it. I don't know how to end this now. I don't want to just say that. But truly there's nothing else to say. So I'm gonna end it here for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and remember that this month we are reading In Memoriam by Alice Wynne for Minder, and there will be a stream for that book sometime in August. So remember to read it if you want to, of course, and you want to see the next month's stream as well. And I will be seeing you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye!
quiero que tú me lleves al barrio de Buenavista a mirar el Social Club junto a todos sus artistas. Por eso
Yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista. Yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista.
el barrio de Buenavista ya tiene fama mundial. El barrio de Buenavista ya tiene fama mundial. Pasando Quinta Avenida, allí lo vas a encontrar, te lo digo.
Yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista. Yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista.
Si tú visitas La Habana, tú vendrás a Buenavista. Si tú visitas La Habana, tú vendrás a Buenavista, que queda allá en Miramar, cruzando por la autopista. Tú ves,
Yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista. Yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista.
yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista. Yo quiero que me lleven a Buenavista, ay, a Buenavista. Que me lleve mi negra,
A Buenavista,
que me lleve a bailar.
a Buenavista,
Te lo digo,
a
mamita,
Buenavista,
cerca en la tropical.
a
Te
Buenavista,
vamos a gozar,
a Buenavista,
vamos a bailar,
a Buenavista,
que lo gocen en Cuba
a Buenavista,
y mi gente bonita.
a Buenavista,
Vamos a bailar,
a
te
Buenavista,
vamos a gozar,
a Buenavista,
que lo que quiero es que lo bailen,
a
que
Buenavista,
lo que quiero es que lo toquen.
a Buenavista,
Quiero bailar,
a Buenavista,
quiero gozar,
a
que
Buenavista,
lo que quiero es que me digas
a
que
Buenavista,
te gusta Buenavista.
a Buenavista.
Gracias.